Om Agana Timirundasya Gnanjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmiditam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangun Mangayate Garim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shigunam Dinatarana Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shanyavani Bhaskacharya Satarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you all for coming here this evening. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to be back here in Boston. I was just meeting with a few guests who were inquiring about my past here, and I became a little bit animated, I guess you could call it, when speaking about some of my experiences here in the Boston Temple over the last 54 years, I guess, when they began in 1972. My first visit to our temple here in Allston, on North Beacon Street, a place where Srila Prabhupada visited in 1971. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for his visit, although I've heard many stories about Prabhupada's visit. I've seen many pictures of Prabhupada's visit, and in fact I always kept, when I was the president, I kept an 8mm video of Srila Prabhupada in my office when he was walking in 1971 in Brighton, and he was walking on Harvard Avenue, and the devotees were there chanting japa with him, as many devotees think that somehow Prabhupada was walking at New York, but I was fortunate enough to know the surroundings and knew very clearly that it was not New York, that it was Harvard Avenue in Boston. And I always had this 8mm video upstairs, and I sent it into our Bhaktivedanta archives for them to extract the video for their archives. And I still have the original 8mm, and nobody's asked it from me, so I guess I'm going to keep it. Of course, it's not so easy to find an 8mm projector, but I think they're a little bit. Anyways, nonetheless, there are a lot of memories that I began visiting in 1972, the year after Prabhupada was there. And it just so happens that last night, as I was driving, I wasn't driving, somebody else was driving, but I was in the car, and somehow I wasn't fast enough to give the directions, and the devotee took a wrong turn, and when he took the wrong turn on Starro Drive, I said, well, I guess it's Krishna's arrangement, let's go see the old temple. So we drove by the old temple, and a lot of things have changed in the area, but when I look at it, I think of a place where it's a sacred place of pilgrimage, and I think that devotees visiting Boston should include that, and not only the pier where Prabhupada first stepped off the Jaladuta in Boston Harbor, and he saw the A&P. It was on the big sign. Of course, I don't think the A&P is there anymore. No, it's not there anymore. Okay. But anyways, that being one of the places, but on 40 North Beacon Street, I spoke about it last night, but I didn't give a full picture. I described it as a former funeral home. And I guess devotees seem to remember that more than anything else that I said last night. Because I was describing how the Prasadam used to the place where they used to have a pulley and bring up the coffins for display. But anyways, the temple certainly was. I wasn't remembering that by looking at the building, but I was remembering that this is a place of pilgrimage because Prabhupada did stay there, and Prabhupada, the devotee, tried to convince Srila Prabhupada to stay in a hotel, but Prabhupada said, no, I will stay in the temple. And he stayed in Tulsi's room, and the installation of Shri Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha took place in that year, in 1971. And we used to have pictures of the installation. Are they still there? They're still there. Okay. But when I see 40 North Beacon Street, it brings my memories of Radha Gopi Vallabha and Shri Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha, and how much their worship and how much reciprocation they gave to their devotees who were, at that time, my experience of living in 40 North Beacon Street, as I was telling the devotees last night, it was like one family. There were only about 15 of us living in the temple at the time, and we had practically no income. Our only literatures we had were Back to Godhead magazines, and we used to go out on street corners, and if we sold 5 or 10 of them for 25 cents, it was a big day. And I know because I remember coming back and celebrating after I distributed about 5 of them, and I said, I have $1.25. And because of that, it really brought everyone together, because the temple was struggling financially, but it was amazing to see how Shri Shri Radha Gopi Vallabha sustained us during those difficult times. And it gave us a real sense of, I guess you could call it devotion, but I don't know how else to describe it, that they were there, and that the worship that was going on at that time, we had the 7 artiks a day, and the offerings, and our congregation of maybe, I don't know, 30, 40 people would come on Sunday, and there was no question of getting congregational support in those days. So our Back to Godhead magazine distribution was it was practically our primary means of support. And there weren't many of us distributing them. Otherwise, we would go out in Harinam, and we would chant in Harvard Square. Sometimes 2 of us, sometimes 4 of us, and we would go on Harinam and distribute Back to Godhead magazines. And again, the income wasn't so great, But I say that created a sense of family because there was a focus. And Prabhupada often would emphasize that in his lectures, in his books, and by his example. We heard many times, put Krishna at the center of your life and your life will become happy. And that was a common theme Prabhupada used for, I would say, inspiring us. And I use the word inspiration because it's a theme that I would like to speak about tonight. And it's a topic I mentioned yesterday. I would talk about it today. And I wasn't going to talk about it today, but somebody said in the car, "Oh, you said you were going to talk about this today." I did, but maybe, I guess I'm leading up to the inspiration that I got to talk about it was because somebody reminded me that I said it yesterday. And instead of thinking, I have to do it, I thought, well, I want to do it. So that was how this talk, which you're about to hear, became inspired. Because inspiration during those days was something that kept us sustained in our Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada, I'm sure anybody who was actively participating in the Krishna consciousness movement during those early years will give a similar testimony that it was like a family because we all had we were all inspired to keep Krishna at the center. And although we struggled, I remember one morning coming into the men's bathroom and slipping on the ice on the floor because we couldn't pay for the heat and the windows were broken and we couldn't even pay to replace the glass in the windows. And so it was difficult. I'm not going to paint a picture of but it was a common sharing and a willingness that let's do it together, let's accept the sacrifices together, let's accept the austerities together, and let's be inspired to do this despite the difficulties we were confronting at the time. And it really gave a sense of unity, something which many of us, which were raised in a hippie culture from the 60s and 70s, were bereft of. We found a sense of unity on the wrong motivation, with the wrong motivation and with the wrong objects and with the wrong purpose. And we found ourselves living more in disunity than in unity. Therefore, finding not only a philosophy, but a way to live that would bring unity amongst, with a shared goal, was something that really inspired us. And everybody wants to be inspired to do something. And sometimes, even in Krishna consciousness, is there a reason why the fruit is being passed around?
Yes.
Had more fruit than... Oh, it's coming, okay. I just didn't know if it was special fruit or something came from Haymarket Square. which is another place of pilgrimage. We used to beg all our boga for free for the Sunday feasts. Okay. I just was curious because I saw it there, Ubiquitous fruit. But good, please, take. I hope it's Mahaprasad, right?
Yes,
yeah. And then, excuse me, it's distracting. What was that said? Lakshmi Narayan, can you tell me what? Huh?
About inspiration.
Inspiration, yes, inspiration. Yeah. Inspiration is really, I would say it was, this Krishna consciousness movement was built on inspiration. There's no other way we can explain it. I wasn't the pioneers, one of the pioneers. I was just described by Gauranga Prabhu as one of the pioneers of the Soviet Union. But actually, the devotees who were struggling there long before me, who were pioneers before I arrived in the communist times, I just kind of facilitated their enthusiasm and inspiration that they already had, and found ways for them to vent their inspiration. And if I could facilitate their inspiration, I considered myself fortunate. And in fact, I remember, as I was explaining today, that when I would go there during the Soviet times and sitting in little rooms, small rooms, small flats with 100 people there, and in a flat that could normally accommodate a few, we managed to fit 100. And as I was coming from the West to present Krishna consciousness to them, I used to think that Krishna is reciprocating with their very strong desire to hear about Krishna. And somehow I'm getting caught in the firing line. Krishna's reciprocating with them, and I'm happy to be at the right place at the right time. And I would just open my mouth and what can I say? I just felt like Krishna was using me as a conduit to satisfy their desires, and Krishna was taking care of everything, and I just happened to be speaking. Why? I didn't really fully understand at the time. So, inspiration, that gave me inspiration. I was thinking, wow, it's nice to be an instrument. It's inspiring to feel like an instrument, that I'm being used as an instrument to please the Supreme Lord. It's a very rare opportunity to get. And even my first visit, not to the Soviet Union, my first visit to the Boston Temple in 1972, I got a taste of this inspiration. I've told this story before. I'll try to make it short because I want to try to stick on the topic of inspiration, which is a very important principle for us to be practicing Krishna consciousness. Without inspiration, it's very, very hard to become a reservoir of rules and regulations. And in fact, there's a statement made, Smartavya satatam Vishno vismartavyo najatu chit Savaviri nisyedasyo itayo eva kinkara. And Krishna must always be remembered, and he should never be forgotten. All the rules and the prohibitions given in the scriptures are meant to serve these two principles. Always remember Krishna and never forget him. So, simply to remember rules and prohibitions doesn't give us the inspiration to follow them. And what gives us the inspiration? Everybody will find that they get inspiration from different sources. Sometimes devotees are inspired to do something for Krishna because they heard something about Krishna and how wonderful Krishna is. How wonderful he reciprocates with his devotees. For instance, there's a verse I was going to speak on last week in Glastonbury, Connecticut, and I ended up speaking on a completely different topic, so I was only able to read from the verse at the end of class. Because I want to do the same thing today. I'm going to try to stick with inspiration. But it's a good verse that that the pure devotional service is so transcendently potent that simply by hearing about it, simply by speaking about it in response, simply by meditating on it, simply by faithfully and respectfully accepting that it exists, which is sometimes difficult for people, to even be faithful and respectfully accept it exists, because sometimes when they hear about pure devotional service, they think, whoa. I always hear about this pure devotional service. Where is it? Or they may they may be a little bit more subjective or internal, like looking in their hearts and saying, it ain't me. Why should I hear about it when I know I don't have it? And it almost becomes like, that's for other people to hear about. It's not for me, because I'm interested. If you're going to talk about things that's going to catch my ears, talk about me. But we think it's not relevant when we hear about pure devotional service because we don't make a connection between how it's for me. We don't make the connection. We think, I'll give you an example. This is a simple example. It's funny. It'll make you laugh. I was once giving a class in East Hartford, Connecticut, at the East Hartford Temple, and my godbrother, P.R.A. Mohan Prabhu, which I'm sure many of you know because he regularly visits here. So I was giving a class to about 5-6 devotees, and included. Okay, as soon as I say this, some people are going to know what I'm going to say, but think about how to wait to the end so I can give the punchline. Anyways, there were 5 or 6 devotees who were sitting and listening to class. It wasn't a very long class. And I said, does anybody have any questions? And P.R.A. Mohan's son, at the time, who was attending the class, he was maybe at that time, maybe about 10 years old or something like that. He raised his hand, and P.R.A. was so... his chest was... Just see my son. He's been raised in Krishna consciousness. The sannyasi is visiting, and he has a question. So I said, Shyam, what's your question? He said, is class over yet? Literally his chest was deflated. Why? Because there was nothing relevant. He didn't start his computer games at that time. He was still very young, but there was nothing relevant for him, and he was, and sometimes, classes or lectures, especially when it's about pure devotional service, we can't make a connection. What does pure devotional service have to do with somebody like me? I know I'm far from pure devotional service. I didn't even finish the verse yet. Wait a minute. Pure devotional service is so transcendently potent that simply by hearing about it, simply by faithfully and simply by speaking about it in response, simply by meditating on it, and simply by faithfully and respectfully accepting that it exists, and simply by praising the service of others, even a person who hates all the demigods and all living beings can immediately be purified. This verse in of itself actually gives us a sense of inspiration, because it basically, if we have faith. If we don't have faith, then we don't. And that's really, that's, as we know, first is Shraddha, Sadhusanga, and Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti. There's different stages that one has to go through to make progress in devotional service. But progress in devotional service means an evolution of faith. And that's right. There's another verse that Satam Prasangam Mamavirya Sambado Bhavanti Hritkayana Dasayana Kata Tajjoshan and Ashva Pavarga Vatmani Shraddha Ratir Bhakti Anupramishiti. That in the association of devotees of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, that enter the ear and go to the heart, and they become very pleasing to the person who's hearing it. And as one advances on this path, Shraddha Ratir Bhakti Anukramishiti, it means from Shraddha, every stage of devotional service, all the way to the platform of Prema, is simply just an evolution of faith. When faith becomes so strong, then, of course, then that kind of faith bears fruit. And even the whole story, if I go there, I'll never get to inspiration. I'll try to go there briefly, but it's relevant. The whole story of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and Gopakumara, I shouldn't say it's a story. It's not a story. Srila Sanatana Goswami has given us, the essence of Vedic literatures. He's given us the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. There's a Laghu Bhagavatamrita written by Srila Rupa Goswami, and the great Bhagavatamrita given by Srila Sanatana Goswami. And all the conclusions of the Vedic wisdom are all contained within this Brihad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is all contained in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. One has to learn to see how the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is there. But if I get into a whole explanation what is Brihad Bhagavatamrita, I might lose the thread about the importance of inspiration. So just I want to keep with that because I think it's relevant. Because a lot of people feel, especially when they come to Krishna consciousness, and then when they hear about certain rules, certain other things that need to be done in Krishna consciousness, especially when one comes to the temple and starts finding out that there's certain things that you're supposed to do and not supposed to do, and when you're in the temple and you shouldn't put your feet out to the deities, and you shouldn't talk in front of the deities, and there's so many other things that you shouldn't do. And sometimes it could be very overwhelming to hear about them if there's not sufficient inspiration to do it. Why do I do it? Why do I have to do it? Or even, and here's the real catch. I'm speaking about Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Okay, I'll get back. Even sometimes devotees, they make a vow to chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra daily. How many people here chant every day? You chant every day. Okay. All right. Yes, you chant on beads every day. Okay. All right, I got it. I got it. Wow. How many people chant because they have to? Why? Some people will say, I made a vow. I made a vow and I feel guilty. And they live in guilt if I don't do it. Even Gopakumar actually. He was given a mantra by his spiritual master. It was called the Gopal Mantra. And this Gopal Mantra was given to him by his spiritual master, Jayanta. He gave him this wonderful mantra. He said, I received this mantra from the Supreme Lord, and I want to share it with you, and please take it. And he gave him this mantra, and he also gave him a blessing that may you live a long time. May you always have the body of a cowherd boy, and may you taste the fruit of this mantra. And that was his blessing. And for some time, Gopakumar accepted the mantra, and he just chanted it because he was told to chant it. Prabhupada talks about that in the Nectar of Devotion also. In the beginning of devotional service, the beginning of love is the obedience, right? You're shaking your head, right? You must know. You've read it before. Not you, Arjuna, somebody else. I know you know it. I know you know it. But I see somebody else shaking their head. Beginning of love is obedience. And that means we do it, but there's a reason to be obedient, but we haven't fully realized it yet. We haven't fully realized the reason to be obedient is because the person who's asked me to do it, at least my experience, when Prabhupada asked me to do something, and I was just speaking to a group of devotees about that today, when Prabhupada said to do something, there was no why, or there was no, it was just, Prabhupada said, do it, we do it. Right, Arjuna? Exactly, right?
Exactly.
Huh? He knows. He joined in Caracas, Venezuela in 1974, right? Yes, he knows. Who else was around in the 1970s? Who else?
My parents are right there.
Oh, really? Oh, Hare Krishna. My obeisances to your lotus feet. Your soul, I've heard your glories, and your son is the fruit of all your austerities. He's such a wonderful devotee that everyone loves him. It's Prabhupada's mercy, isn't it? That's we lived on Prabhupada's mercy. We live.
Everything you say is true.
Yeah. We live on Prabhupada's mercy.
Very true.
We didn't ask. Prabhupada said, okay. I just do it. I might not understand why I do it, but one thing we were convinced of, Prabhupada knew what was better for me than I did. I knew that. It was clear. Prabhupada knew what was better for me than I did. And he demonstrated that by his perfect example. He demonstrated that by his compassion that he gave of himself in his books. He demonstrated that by observing his behavior, seeing how he was his dealings. Fortunately, I can testify. I say that my only qualification is that I was here on the planet when Prabhupada was here, and I had the great fortune to see him with my eyes. That's my only qualification. I have no other qualification. I'm simply made of his mercy. I had the fortune to see him with my eyes and to see how he interacted with devotees, to hear him give class. Then And one time during her class in Philadelphia in 1975, when I was being a little bit over-enthusiastic, and when he agreed to open up the door so that we could all come in when he was giving a lecture before the Rath Yatra Festival, I kind of moved in too quickly, and he probably looked at me and looked at my eyes. And I immediately was thinking that Prabhupada sees everything. And the only thought that went through my mind when Prabhupada looked at me was I had to get down quickly, slunk down to the floor. And the only question I could understand he was asking me is, what are you doing here? Not here in class, in the material world. It's just, it's just, that's Prabhupada. And you got a sense that if I did what he said to do, it would be for my betterment. I would get something that would help me in my advancement in Krishna consciousness. So, that inspiration, of course, was something that kept us motivated and kept us inspired. And so Prabhupada said, chant 16 rounds. I remember I had to write a letter to Prabhupada. My dear Srila Prabhupada, I have been chanting because I didn't see Prabhupada. I didn't see Prabhupada until 1975. And I was already first and second initiated even before I saw him for the first time. I saw people ask me, when did you first meet Srila Prabhupada? My answer always is, I met him in a bookstore. And they ask me, what was he doing in a bookstore? And I say, he was sitting on a shelf. And the next question was, what was Prabhupada doing sitting on it? I said, he was right there. Because I went into the bookstore looking for a book on yoga. And Bhagavad Gita as it is, there was one copy of it in the Brentanos on Wisconsin Avenue in Washington, D.C. And I opened up the Bhagavad Gita as it is. I saw a picture of a yogi sitting in meditation and showing how the soul goes up to the body, and then up is Radha Krishna. And then I said, this looks like a good book on yoga. And then I bought it. And I found out 20 years later that it wasn't even part of the inventory of the bookstore, because one devotee, and his name was, my godbrother's name was Damodar. Not Damodar who lives in Boston, it was my godbrother Damodar. But he went into the bookstore and he put the Bhagavad Gita on the shelf and walked out and left it there. And I happened to pick it up. So that's how it happened. And I took it back expecting to read a book on yoga, and then I started reading, and Prabhupada said right in the introduction that if you can't accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then at least theoretically accept that he's God. And if you theoretically accept that he's God, you will be able to understand this Bhagavad Gita. So I theoretically accepted that Krishna was God, but all the time I was questioning, how do I know? Until I finished Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita finished me. All my hopes and dreams were aspirations. I won't tell you what they were. You don't want to know. But they were all smashed like to dust. And then chanting 16 rounds became something that was part of our life, and then gradually we observe that devotees have accepted vows to chant 16 rounds a day. But unfortunately, sometimes, and we have observed, that although devotees are chanting, it's more because I have to, and not enough because I want to. And I have to just doesn't work long enough. It doesn't work. Because desire is the symptom of life. It's the innate characteristic of life, of the soul. Desire. Prabhupada says it's one thing you can't take away. Is desire. It's the eternal companion of the soul. So, desire means I want something. But we have, and many of us have an experience that our lives are built on a sequence of events or a sequence of obligations, sequence of commitments, a sequence of daily life, and it may even be monthly life, yearly life, decades of I have to do so many things. You know, I have to take care of my family, I have to go to work, I have to pay the bills, I have to pay the medical bills, I want to have children, I don't have enough insurance, I have to get insurance policy, I'm not getting insurance policy from my work, I have to take out insurance policy. Well, maybe I have to get Medicaid, maybe I can't get Medicaid, well, I'm getting notes, life's passing by me, maybe I can get Medicare, but I have to get it, you know. There's just so many things I mean, I can go, let's face it, I mean, I was just having a conversation with some devotees before I came up here, and I was listening to a list of things that they had to do. And sometimes our life from every day consists of a long list of things I have to do. And then all of a sudden, I discover when I become a member of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that on top of all the things I have to do, I have to chant Hare Krishna. It's a real drag. It's a real drag to have to include Hare Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna, in the same list of things and the same have-to-dos that we have to do every day in our life. And not only that, as I've been speaking about, and many devotees have told me they're relating to, that when we have a long list of things that we have to do, and why we have to do them? Because there's consequences, right? There's consequences. Why do I have, if I don't do it, there may be either an immediate consequence, or maybe I won't have enough to buy the food at the end of the week, it's another consequence, or maybe I won't be able to pay this bill or pay that bill, and then I have to prioritize the bills, or you know, maybe the family's really gonna get on my case. Anyways, consequences usually are more in your face of the things that we have to do than the consequences of not chanting Hare Krishna. Right? So we kind of relegate it to, okay, I know I made a vow, and but I have to do these other things. But the only thing that I get from, the only consequences of not chanting Hare Krishna is I may feel guilty for a while, but I'll find time to justify it quickly enough that I won't even feel guilty anymore. And that, it happens. It happens. Unfortunately, it happens. But it's very hard to live a life filled with have-to-dos. And especially if we can't prioritize our life with the things that we want to do. And just like Krishna says, there's nothing I have to do. He says, Namam karmani limpanti name kama palespiha iti mam yobi jananati kama birnasa bhajate. Krishna says, there's no work that affects me. Nothing. I'm not affected. No consequences. No work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. And anyone who knows this truth about me also will not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. So Krishna's saying that I don't have to work. What would you do if you came to that conclusion? If you took, everybody has a list of things that they want to do, right? Everybody keeps a private list, or maybe it's a shared list, or these days, who knows, it's on Facebook or wherever you, maybe you have some kind of collective project, teamwork on things you want to do. You do it as a team, and they have a list of things they want to do, and they're just waiting to run through the list of the things they have to do so they can do the things they want to do. So if you erase all the things that you have to do, just erase them. And somebody told you, forget it, no consequences. Forget it. I promise you, no consequences. Of course, Krishna says that to Arjuna too. He says, Masuchaha, don't fear. But anyways, that's another topic. But Krishna says, in many places, he says, I promise you, no consequences. What is that verse? Well, Krishna says, no, that's a different verse. Achatasman manusheshu kaschin me priyakitama yaidam paramam guyam madbhiktashavitashati. Yes. But Krishna says, one who explains this secret of devotional service to others, for him, devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he comes back to me. Now, sometimes we worry about guarantees. Right? Do you ever check the warranty label and see the joke? It's a big joke. Or the bank says, we guarantee, put all your money with us and it's covered. Right? Guaranteed. $250,000. Right? And then it goes belly up. I saw it in the Soviet Union. I'll give you an example. I saw it in the Soviet Union when I was there in I can't remember what year it was, maybe it was 91, when all of a sudden the ruble, the ruble became worthless. And I had a secretary with me he had so much money in the bank. And he was thinking that, that if things became difficult, he was very successful. He had made a lot of money, and he was living like a brahmachari, but he didn't tell anybody he had a lot of money in the bank. So when the ruble became useless, he just said, Guru Maharaj. I was trying to figure out why he was white as a ghost. Everything I had is no. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. What happened? Что случилось? Those who understand Russian. Hare Krishna. Okay. When am I'm supposed to stop 5 minutes ago. I got to stick with the theme. Please forgive me. I'll try to stick with the theme. But he did say, I just lost everything. And all of a sudden, he was another person who was thinking all along, I'm secure. And then all of a sudden, he had nothing. Anyways, so you may get so many guarantees, but when Krishna guarantees, that's a little different. He says pure devotional service is guaranteed. Devotional service is guaranteed, for one explains the supreme secret to others. Devotional service is guaranteed. At the end, he comes back to me. So Krishna gives his guarantee. Nobody can No one can impede Krishna's guarantee. So, where was I?
No consequences.
No consequences. Oh, you remember. That means this is relevant, right? Now I know to whom it's relevant. Can anybody else remember where I was? No consequences, right? Yeah, a lot of people were wondering about that. No consequences. I was saying how no consequences for Krishna, but for us, there's consequences. All right, so I said, and this is the point that I was making, if I told everybody, okay, no consequences, what would you do if you found out that all the things that you had to do, no consequences? I'm not, believe me. Although Prabhupada gave us that kind of faith, actually, I'll be honest with you. We didn't care what the consequences were as long as Prabhupada would smile. We lived for Prabhupada's smile. But that's because we were kind of raised in an atmosphere where all of us were struggling in the ashram together, and sometimes I even say to devotees, you know, when they take their vows to chant, they say they chant a minimum of 16 rounds a day. I tell them, I was explaining to them recently, we didn't have the luxury to offer such vows to chant a minimum of 16 rounds today. We were so busy from morning to night that if we could complete 16 rounds, it was a major. I mean, Prabhupada just had us so engaged from morning to night. I mean, we're distributing books for 12 hours a day. Devotees were cooking in the kitchen from morning to night. And it's how it was. I mean, that's how we were raised in Krishna consciousness. So now, because it's become more congregational based and not so much devotees living in the temple, many are not getting this experience of the full-on what it means to surrender. To surrender. And to surrender because we're inspired to surrender. Because we want to surrender. Because the more we surrender, the more Prabhupada's happy, the more Radha Gopi Vallabha is happy. And the more Radha Gopi Vallabha is happy, the more my feet are not touching the ground during kirtan. And then it's a kind of mystical kind of experience that comes from inspiration, that you want to do it. You want to do it. And some people question. I even have people ask me, how did you do it? And we didn't think of how we did it. We just didn't think of how we did it. We just did it. How is not, just did it. And that kind of inspiration has to be there when we're chanting Hare Krishna. We don't think about, if this is another I have to do, then the consequences don't seem to be as severe as the other things that I really have to do. Sometimes devotees ask me the question, that's a question I get asked often. Guru Maharaj, what do I have to, what was exactly how they say it? How do I find time to chant my rounds? It's a question that's asked quite frequently. How do I find time? And I answer their question with a question. I say, do you find time to eat? And they say, yes. I say, why?
Because you have to.
I have to. Because I'm hungry.
I'll die without it.
Bhakti Parashano Bhava Rakti Anyaysa Chaisha Chika Ekakal. Devotion, direct experience of God, and detachment from material things. These three things come simultaneously for a person who's engaged in devotional service. Just as pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite. for a person who's eating. And Prabhupada, I just heard this lecture actually just about a week ago. Prabhupada said, when you're eating, do you have to ask somebody, does this taste good? Do you have to ask somebody, is my hunger going away? You don't. You know. So the same thing when a person is engaged in devotional activities. He doesn't have to ask somebody else, am I feeling my devotion nourished? Am I losing my attraction for material things? Just like a person knows his hunger is going away when he eats. How do I know my hunger is going away? You don't know your hunger is going away? You know. So, same thing with eating. We know if there will be consequences if we don't eat. Right? So, if a person understands there's consequences if I don't eat, of course that's not the reason. Most devotees, they eat because they like to eat. And they want to eat. And they especially want the Mahaprasadam. Right? When the Mahaprasadam goes, I want it. I remember Prabhupada went for a lecture Prabhupada was giving in Brooklyn in 1975. And Shruti Kirti Prabhu was at, they have these, what do they call those doors that open up at the top and they stay closed at the bottom? Anyways. What is it? Dutch door? Okay, that's good. Hey, Gaur Prasad. Nice to see you. Howdy boy. Anyways, so Shruti Kirti was handing out Mahaprasadam to the devotees, and it was kind of a long line from Prabhupada's plate, and I was at the back of the line. So I got down on my hands and knees, and I started crawling under the... I want it. I want it. And I started crawling under the legs of the devotees that were in front of me, and I came up and I got a little spinach, Mahaprasadam. It's what devotees wanted. You want it. Why? Why? It's Mahaprasadam. Mahaprasadam. From Prabhupada. Or just like in 1970, can't remember what year it was, maybe 1975, we used to save all the Maha sweets from Radha Gopi Vallabha, and we used to lock them up in the closet on the second floor. And then when we go out in Harinam on Saturday, and all of us were getting ready to go out in Harinam, we'd break the lock. And who was breaking it? The temple president. I want it. We were saving the Mahaprasadam to sell on Sunday, but on Saturday night, it was never there. I want it. So, we want to do something. Everybody wants to do something. And when I speak about this, sometimes devotees, when they say, okay, Maharaj, this is all well and good. I understand the consequences of not chanting Hare Krishna. I understand the point you're making. And then the next question, how do you want it? Right? It's a secret. It's like, it's not something mystical. It's not something mystical. How do you want it? It's a very, very simple principle. Just like Prahlad Maharaj in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 7th canto, he gives an example. He says, when one decorates one's face in the mirror, simultaneously the reflection is decorated. He doesn't have to, does anybody here decorate, any of the women decorate their faces and then you go and decorate the reflection too? Nobody does that. Why? It's automatically decorated. So Prahlad Maharaj makes the point, when you give something to Krishna, he doesn't need it. But when you give something to Krishna, you benefit. You benefit. It's for me. That's why I want it. It's our benefit. But how do we really benefit? When we know that Krishna wants it. And we do it. because Krishna wants it. It's a very difficult decision to make, but we actually, for many of us, we made that decision when I said I want to chant 16 rounds minimum of Hare Krishna every day. We came to realize that I want it, but this world is a place of forgetfulness, and sometimes the priorities seem to overwhelm us, and the consequences are in our face, and then we forget that it was something I wanted to do. So how to get that want back? That's where Radha Gopi Vallabha come into the picture. That's where they come into the picture. We were having a discussion. Can I continue or am I going late? Oh, you have to serve a feast. No! Everybody wants a feast. Huh? Huh?
We are feasting this.
I'm sorry. I'm ruining it for everybody. I'll try. Huh? I'm not going to take a survey. I'll just continue, but I'll make it fast. I forgot what I was saying. Was it what I was saying relevant to anybody? Did anybody remember what was the lesson?
Gopi Vallabha.
Gopi Vallabha! Oh my God, how could I forget Radha Gopi Vallabha? It's just like I met a devotee at the airport who picked me up when I arrived a few weeks ago from Hungary. And I said to the devotee, do you have a picture of Radha Gopi Vallabha? He said, Maharaj, I'm from the Boston Temple. He said, and I said, do you have a picture of Radha Gopi Vallabha? He said, no. I said, you're not from the Boston Temple. He was so embarrassed. He was going back to India. What's his name? Sudarshan? Sudarshan, okay. Anyways, I said, And then I asked another devotee. I think it was Vyasadeva. Is Vyasadeva here? He used to be Varun. Yeah, now he's Vyasadeva. Anyways, but he had a picture. I said, okay. Anyways, Radha Gopi Vallabha. That's where they come into the picture. From now on, I was saying that I was speaking on about a particular topic recently with a godbrother of mine. We're speaking about how wonderful Prabhupada instilled within us a sense of who is Krishna. I remember reading a Bhagavad Gita. Can't remember what year it was. It didn't do anything for me. But it described that the Blessed Lord said in the Bhagavad Gita. And when I read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, I was very inspired to see that Bhagavan was translated Sri Bhagavan Uvacha as the Supreme Personality of Godhead said. So we were having a discussion on this particular point about Prabhupada's use of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because generally we think that the word supreme is a position. And position has a propensity to cover personality, right? When somebody has a position, you really don't understand the person. You just see him in terms of the position because the position is usually very overbearing, right? Right? Just like why does a person hate the demigods? Because they all have positions. And the demigods, sometimes they don't do what they have to. It says in the Bhagavatam that the demigods they're applying the karma according to like a shadow. A shadow can only move according to how the object moves. They're only allowed to give or not give according to their limits. And therefore, if I don't get what I want from the demigods, right? And then or something like, or if I have to accept some authority to get what I want, wait a minute. Like Hiranyakashipu. I'll just take all the position of the demigods and hate all living entities and the demigods also. Right. We just spoke about that in the first verse we quoted. But anyways, the point I was making, am I flying all over the place? No. Where was I? Radha Gopi Vallabha. Radha Gopi Vallabha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's right. The Supreme. We tend to have a tendency to think that a position covers the personality. Like if somebody is supreme, then supreme, what can I get from the Supreme? You know, it's the Supreme. And this personality gets obscured by the position. That's the nature. But Prabhupada is so perfect that he combined the Supreme Personality because he introduced us to such a wonderful personality as Krishna, that although he's supreme, he's so submissive and so subordinate to those who love him that he becomes like a plaything in the hands of his devotees. Oh, he's supreme. It seems like a complete, paradox? Or how is it that he's supreme, but his personality is so attractive? What to speak of, his personality is so attractive because his pastimes are so human-like. Especially when he behaves like a little baby, child, and engages in mischievous activities, and we can go on and on about Krishna's personality. I mean, it's unlimited topic, Krishna's personality. But it's so attractive. So Gopi Vallabha, Radha Gopi Vallabha, they are the supreme personalities. And they're ready to reciprocate with devotees who want to do something for them. It's mystical, as mystical as it may sound. They're persons. And how are we going to ever know their personality unless we serve them? And to serve them doesn't mean that I have to get on the altar and do arti. We don't have to be like Lakshmi. He's serving them. Lakshmi Narayana is definitely a servant, and I know there's other devotees serving. But to serve them doesn't mean you have to be on the altar and offering artik and offering the bhoga. Serve them by opening your heart to them. Just open your heart. How many people can we honestly open our heart and tell them how much we don't surrender to them? How many attachments we still have? We're afraid to speak about that to anybody in this world generally, because as soon as I do, it's going to be on Facebook the next day. It's a fact. People are so afraid to open their hearts. They can't even have loving relationships with devotees because they're afraid it might come up on Facebook the next day. So what personality can you actually depend on more to reveal your heart to than Radha Gopi Vallabha? I can't think of a better personality who's so accessible to open your heart. You can even say, Radha Gopi Vallabha, I want to chant your names every day. But I'm such a rascal that I've filled my life with so many things that I have to do that I've lost the desire to chant your names every day. But I want to serve you. And I know you're pleased when I chant your names. I know that you reciprocate. I have faith that you reciprocate with devotees who actually want to please you. I see it. I see how you reciprocate with devotees. It happens. Sometimes I see. And I should be ready to praise devotees who have gotten reciprocation from you, Radha Gopi Vallabha, but I don't do it. I don't do it. I don't speak about pure devotional service because there's too many other topics I need to talk about. I got to find out I have so many other things that I need to get immediate answers for. So I don't have time to talk about pure devotional service. I don't have time to hear about it either. I don't meditate on it because I meditate on so many other things. You know, I don't really have to tell you these things, but by telling you things, I'm just like the person who's decorating the face in the mirror. Because you know everything anyway, so why do I have to tell you? I tell you because I'll benefit. Therefore, I'll tell you. Let me open my heart to you, Radha Gopi Vallabha. You are beautiful. You are so beautiful. Let me be your servant. Let me glorify you. Let me ask you for this. Let me ask you for the desire to want to chant your names. It's possible. It happens. That's how to cultivate want. That's how to cultivate, and at least minimize the have-tos, especially for the things that we want to do to please Radha Gopi Vallabha. Everybody should be eager to serve Radha Gopi Vallabha. Bring fruits, flowers. Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. If one offers me a leaf, flower, fruit, or water with love and devotion, I want it. I want it. This is for you. Let me clean their temple. Especially tonight, the feast is going to be 30 minutes. And the temple's going to have to be cleaned really fast because I spoke too long. I hope you'll forgive me. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare
It's not on me, I'm fine. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama.